Heyo, Lord aka Megabuds. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a Gardevoir deck. However, this deck is a little bit different. This archetype was used quite often, quite some time ago, but really hasn't seen any success since then. However, I feel like this deck is still pretty solid, and I kind of wanted to revisit it as it was like my only way I enjoyed playing Gardevoir. Let's get into the deck list. Already here at that deck list, Banette Gardevoir. With Gardevoir Jellicent doing so well at the Pittsburgh Regional Championships, I realized something. Banette Gardevoir was a deck that we were playing that was also item locking your opponent, but just wasn't on an ability. So Gardevoir Jellicent is better than Banette Gardevoir in that regard, being able to just block more with an ability and still being able to attack. However, I really enjoyed Banette Gardevoir when it was actually kind of relevant in the meta, and it kind of thought to me like I should revisit this deck because I feel like it's actually pretty solid in the meta now, as a lot of decks have just these immensely huge hands. Raging Bolt ends up drawing a bajillion cards. Gholdengo, Gardevoir at times will have a bunch of cards in their hand. Just so many different decks in the meta right now have so many cards in their hand that I can just punish them with the Poltergeist attack that Banette has. But we'll get into Banette a little later. Gardevoir EX, everybody knows what it does. The ability to Psychic Embrace. As often as you like during your turn, you attach a basic Psychic Energy card from your discard pile to one of your Psychic Pokemon. If you do, you put 2 damage counters on this Pokemon and the Miracle Force for 190 for 3 energy. We're also playing 3 copies of Munkidori, the most problematic card in the Pokemon trading card game right now. I made a video talking about it. You should go watch it. Munkidori is literally broken. So of course we're playing Munkidori in a deck with Gardevoir. The ability Drain a Brain once during your turn. If it has Dark Energy attached, you move 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon, which is going to be super helpful in this deck. Playing 1 copy of the Mew EX for the free retreat, the restart, and being able to just use genome hacking whenever we need to is pretty solid. We're also playing 1 copy of that Scream Tab with the Roaring Scream, does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Then Lillie's Clefairy, being able to have that Fairy Zone ability is super good, being able to punish Dragapult players and Raging Bull players alike. The weakness of each of your opponent's Dragon Type Pokemon in play are now weak to Psychic. And then Full Moon Rondo does 20 plus 20 damage for each bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. But the card I want to talk about is going to be the Banette EX. 250 HP Stage 1 Pokemon. Banette is one of my favorite Pokemon. I think Banette is just so cool. Everlasting Darkness for 1 Psychic Energy, 30 damage during your opponent's next turn. They can't play any item cards from their hand. So being able to item lock your opponent is really good in the Pokemon trading card game, as we've seen with the Jellicent EX and Badoo. It is really powerful. So doing 30 damage on this stage 1 to be able to item lock your opponent isn't too bad. However, the attack that I really like that Banette has is that Poltergeist for 2 energy, 60 times. Your opponent reveals their hand. This attack does 60 damage for each trainer card you find there. Like I said, with decks like Gholdengo, Raging Bolt, Dragapult, Gardevoir, so many of these decks in the meta right now are playing so many trainer cards as they just have to, but also they're drawing so many cards, right? So we're able to just kind of punish them because of that, being able to take these crazy knockouts that we're not typically supposed to take, but also we can go the kind of slow, methodical route by just Everlasting Darkness and keeping them item locked, and then Adrenaline Brain and moving damage counters kind of everywhere, and then being able to punish later on. For the trainers here, we got 4 Arven, 4 Iono, 3 Research, 1 Turo, and then the items we got 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Rare Candy, 2 Vessel, 2 Buddy-Buddy Poffin, 2 Counter Catcher, 2 Night Stretcher, 1 Super Rod, 1 Secret Box for the Ace Spec of Choice. Secret Box is literally just broken. You discard 300 cards from your hand, then you search deck for an item, a tool, a supporter, and a stadium, and put them into your hand. 2 Dental Machine Evolution, 1 copy of Gravity Stone. As long as Pokemon is in the active spot, the retreat cost of both active Pokemon is 1 more. 1 Dental Machine De-Evolution, being able to get some cheeky multi-prize KOs, 2 Artisan, 6 Psychic Energy, and 3 Dark Energy. Now, let's jump into that game. Already here at that gameplay here at the coin flip. It doesn't really matter if we go first or second. Ideally, I would like to go second because then I can kind of pull off a Technical Machine Evolution play. But if I go first, I'm also kind of able to like maybe get off a little cheeky Shuppet attack, being able to kind of item lock them if I flip heads, which is pretty interesting. But not too big of a deal depending on which one we have. Start with Lillie Clefairy in the active spot here against our Dreepy that our opponent has. So it looks like some sort of Dragapult deck. It could be Dragapult Dusknoir, just straight Dragapult, Pultzard. Not really Danglepult deck, kind of died out, sadly. I really enjoyed that deck, actually. And then we have Munkidori onto our bench here. Another Dreepy, a Duskull. So it looks like going to be it's Dragapult, Dusknoir. Could still be Pultzard, but with the Badoo, it kind of locks me in at just thinking, all right, this is just Andrew Hedrick, Dragapult, Dusknoir. So let's see what we can piece together. It's a pretty favorable matchup for us. I'm also kind of in like the 1700s at this point while playing this game, actually, right before reset. So draw a card for turn. Artisan for that Ralts here. We're going to go Arven. Going to be able to try to get as much as we possibly can this turn. We're going to go Buddy-Buddy Poffin, and we're looking at Technical Machine Evolution potentially. But I don't know. It might just be better to get Earthen Vessel to try to maybe pull off a evolution play. I go for the Secret Box. I go for Technical Machine Evolution. Try and just piece together what I want. But I actually end up, doesn't really matter because I end up kind of getting item locked. So we're in this really awkward spot now where I kind of just need to draw a bunch of cards. So the reason I grabbed a Secret Box here is because even though I am under item lock, if I can get out of it at some point, Secret Box is going to be the card I want to use because it's going to be able to grab me 4 just different things that are going to be able to help me push through the rest of this game. But my opponent also kind of helped us out with Artisan a little bit here, so Artisan can be very helpful for us as we're going to be able to keep setting up our bench here. Evolving our Ralts into Kirlia, we're going to grab ourselves that Shuppet here. Going to be able to just pass turn. We could attach the Machine Evolution, but it's just going to lose it, so it doesn't make sense. Now, the only downside actually with this matchup for us is that Shuppet has 60 HP, so they could just Phantom Dive and kill it. So I need to evolve it into Banette pretty quickly, but we have Banette in hand, so that's pretty helpful. We're going to evolve our Kirlia into Gardevoir. We're going to be evolve our Shuppet into Banette. We're going to go Artisan here for one last go. We're going to grab ourselves a second Munkidori, attach to the Machine Evolution to our bench Munkidori just to kind of get it out of the hand. And then we're going to have the research. We need cards. And unfortunately, I don't get anything I need. I get no energy. I have nothing else. I have Iono in hand, so I could kind of disrupt their hand a little bit. Also being able to kind of hopefully find an energy into something. I could do something where I attach Machine Evolution to the active Clefairy and then Iono, try to find an energy and kind of Evo if I have to. But the item lock kind of is hurting us quite a bit here, unfortunately. But like I said, we're going to see what we can piece together. We might be able to do something here. We're just going to rip the Iono. Even though they have 3 cards in hand, it doesn't matter. We need to find some energy. And we end up finding some energy here. So we're actually going to attach the Lillie's Clefairy EX. We're going to retreat out of the Lillie's Clefairy EX into our Banette. And then we are going to Psychic Embrace and put the Psychic Energy to our Banette. Going to be able to KO the Badoo, actually, with our Everlasting Darkness and keeping them under item lock. But first, we need to Artisan real quick here. We're going to grab ourselves another Shuppet just in case if they KO our Banette. So we'll have to see kind of how that plays out. But Everlasting Darkness, going to have that item lock. And we're going to be taking a knockout on the Badoo here. We're going to throw up the Latios into the active spot. Now, the downside of this matchup also is that Banette has 250 HP. So they could, in theory, just go Dusclops, Curse Blast, put 5 damage counters on Banette, Phantom Dive, KO the Banette, and then KO something on my bench also, which is a little scary. But like I said, their hand gets enormous, right? Look at their hand. They have 7 cards in hand. That's quite a bit. And chances are a lot of them were probably trainers. So the Everlasting Darkness is good early game, but then we can kind of close out with that Poltergeist attack, being able to just take crazy knockouts. Our opponent here actually kind of going for an interesting play, going into another Badoo, knowing I could literally just Adrenaline Brain and actually knock it out, or just Everlasting Darkness and also knock it out, giving me another prize card. But alas, not too big of a deal. We're going to Adrenaline Brain here, moving 3 damage counters to the Dracloak off of our Lillie's Clefairy EX, and then we're going to just rip the research here, trying to find some more cards still under that item lock, unfortunately. Everlasting Darkness, taking the knockout on the Badoo, keeping them under item lock, actually, and then getting another prize card. So we're at a 4-6 split here. Being able to just have to research a lot is actually kind of unfortunate in this deck, but it ultimately has been working out for us as we're kind of just drawing cards and discarding things as the game kind of progresses. We're in a position now where we have a lot of good draws for the late game. We have Vessel to find more energies, to keep discarding energies. We have another Guardy that we can get up and going if they KO this Guardy. We have a Ralt kind of in the hand. So we got quite a bit going on for us. So we'll just kind of have to see, like I said, how things play out. That Dusknoir on the bench is a bit concerning. Being able to just knock out the Munkidori is a little scary for us. Like I said, and then being able to just punch the Banette in the active spot for 200 if they can get a Dusclops. Then they go Curse Blast to the active, KO a Dusclops, and then they go Curse Blast to a bunch Munkidori, take a knockout there, and then they go Phantom Dive, 200 to the active, and then 6 to the Shuppet, and then just have a huge, like, 4 prize turn, sorry, which would be kind of nuts. So we'll see what they can kind of piece together here. Our opponent here going to rip an Iono, though. Going to be able to get us into a kind of not great 4-card hand, but getting them into, hopefully, for them, a fantastic 6-card hand. They find Dragapult, which is going to be huge. Going to be able to get out of that Latios probably this turn. But first, we're going to Curse Blast onto the Lillie's Clefairy EX, which actually does make sense here. Going to hopefully, like I said, if they can find their way into a Dusclops, they can take a huge 4 prize turn this turn, which would be kind of nuts. But unfortunately, cannot find that extra just push onto the Banette, but going to be able to punch our Banette, KOing our Lillie's Clefairy, and then putting just little dead damage counters on our Munkidori, unfortunately for us. So we're going to have to see kind of, like I said, what we can piece together. Earthen Vessel, pitch the Psychic Energy, getting a Psychic and a Dark. Going to be able to attach the Dark Energy to the Munkidori. So we got 2 Adrenal Brains up and ready to go here. We're going to have Ultra Ball this turn. We're going to have Arven this turn. But first, we're going to Adrenal Brain. We're actually going to try to just go for the win here, which I think we can do. We're going to go Adrenal Brain, move 6 damage counters total to their Duskull on their side, putting us the 2 prizes in hand. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, oh my gosh, I could do this. I just need to get a little lucky. So we're going to go Ultra Ball. We're trying to just thin as much as possible, see what we have access to. We have the Night Stretcher, so we have Arven. So we could just go for a Arven into a Night Stretcher into Lillie's Clefairy EX, and then going to be able to just take the knockout there. We could try to go for like a cheeky Poltergeist attack. However, if we end up whiffing, we're actually kind of screwed if we don't take the knockout. So it's probably just safer to go for the Miracle Force on the Gardevoir than it would be to just try to Poltergeist. Because like I said, if we whiff and they just have like no, if they have no trainers in hand or anything like that, then we actually just don't potentially get the knockout. It's pretty unlikely that that would actually happen. But it's one of those things where I'd rather be sure than unsure. If we couldn't get our Lillie's Clefairy EX, then we go for the Poltergeist attack and just try to get really lucky and see if we can get a huge knockout that way. But being able to get the Lillie's Clefairy EX, we 100% lock up the game here with a Miracle Force, being able to hit them for weakness because Lillie's Clefairy, taking our last 2 prize cards to close out the game with our Banette Gardevoir EX deck. Like I said, this match taking place in like the 1700s or like 1650. I'll kind of show you. Like I'm here in the beginning and kind of see down here like 1645. So we're kind of in a position where we're at like topper end. But at Gardevoir, I continue to go on a pretty good run with this deck. So definitely give it a shot. But let's jump into the outro. All right, it's going to draw for today's video. Make sure to put the deck list that I played in today's video in the description below, ready for copy paste into TCG Live. And of course, if you enjoy the content I've been making stuff on the channel, definitely make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It has been helping me immensely on the channel. We're actually at 950 subscribers at the time of me recording this video. So we're 50 away from 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of insane. I never really thought I would get that far, but I could not do it without any of you guys. So thank you guys so much. And I want to give a huge special thanks and a shout out to all my channel members that you guys see here. They continue to support the channel even further by joining the Trainer Club here at the Megawoods YouTube channel. Like I said, let me know what you guys think of Banette Gardevoir. Do you still play it? Do you think I'm literally just trolling and I got lucky? I don't know. Like I said, I've been enjoying this deck so much, so I'm going to continue to keep playing it. I think it's severely underrated right now, and I think that it has a position in the meta, just being able to punish people with the Poltergeist attack, potentially. So that's going to do all for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!